The Heisman Trophy, the ultimate reward for ultimate achievement. For the past few years, August has offered up a clear favorite for December glory. Not so this season. 2001 is a clean slate, wide open to the aspirations of those with the Heisman dream. Ones who are a little tougher, a little faster, and whose desire has no...
Who's the realest? Who remains to be the fearless? Your mind who's the name unforgettable. Who's the realest? Who remains to be the fearless? You never see eye to eye with the likes of us, cause we're too damn technical. Who's the realest? Nevertheless, the illest will claim respect. Who's the realest? Who remains to be the fearless? You might never get another chance to catch this. In case you're wondering, who's the realest?
It is a long bus ride from the single-A outpost to the downtown athletic club, but Chris Winkie completed the journey last December to become the winner of the 66th Heisman, the oldest man ever to win the Heisman Trophy, who will now strike the pose alongside the likes of Winkie, Dane, Walker, and Griffin. The chase for sports' most coveted and treasured individual trophy, the Heisman, is about to kick off. Hi, everybody. Glad to have you with us on our Heisman Trophy preseason special. I'm Reese Davis. The guys with me, our esteemed panel of experts, my partner Rod Gilmore, back for another season. Terry Bowden, over from ABC Sports. Terry, good to see you. And joining our ball club, Mark May. He's going to pave the way for us, the former Pittsburgh and Washington Redskins star. And by the way, don't adjust your set if you see a little shine. That's just Mark's championship ring shining off the lights right there. Guys, last year at this time, when we looked at the Heisman Trophy race, we had a clear-cut favorite. It was Michael Vick. You wanted to make it to New York, you had to upstage Michael Vick. Now, Chris Winkie was able to do that. Entirely different field this year. Only 2 of the top 10 vote-getters from last year's Heisman Trophy race returned.
Well, a different field because we've had a couple of marquee guys leave early. Michael Vick is gone. Drew Henson left. They both went to pro sports. That's created a vacuum here, and that void is being filled with a lot of hype, but also an opportunity to fill that with guys who can play their way in, just like Josh Heupel did last season for Oklahoma, and Michael Vick did it a couple of years ago. But right now, Terry, we don't have a marquee guy.
Rod, you're exactly right. The Heisman has always been about marquee name at a marquee position at a marquee school. This year, you still got great players playing the typical positions, usually quarterback or running back. But where's Florida State? Where's Michigan? Where's Oklahoma? Where's Southern Cal? Now we're talking about Oregon, Oregon State, Northwestern. Mark, a lot of new faces at a lot of new places.
There definitely are, and it's so wide open this year that an underclassman could possibly win the Heisman Trophy. But here are the 3 keys. You have to win, you have to stay healthy, and you have to put up the numbers, and Reese, that'll never change.
And that stigma about the underclassmen that we had, 10, 15, maybe 20 years ago is really gone now. A lot of underclassmen are considered favorites. You don't really give it a thought. Let's break down some of the candidates, and some of our candidates, though, are led by upperclassmen, like senior quarterback Eric Crouch, who leads Nebraska for the 3rd season. No quarterback in Husker history has run for more yards or touchdowns than Crouch. Woodrow Dantzler, also a senior at Clemson. Terry might have seen him a time or two. Broke no fewer than 16 Clemson records last year on his way to 2,900 yards of total offense. At Texas, sophomore wide receiver Roy Williams. They call him the legend because he makes catches like this. Sophomore season, and he might be teaming up with a junior quarterback, Chris Sims. Sure, I know the numbers weren't overwhelming last year, but he's got size, he's got skill, he had big games down the stretch, will be a major factor in the Big 12 race. Another guy who's also going to be a factor in the national championship race, junior quarterback Ken Dorsey of Miami. He lost some quality receivers, still the best quarterback in the Sunshine State, and that is saying something, my friend. Last year's top returning Heisman vote getter, Damian Anderson, senior from Northwestern, finished last season just short of the 2,000-yard mark. Going to see a lot of friendly faces up front. The entire O-line is back to pave the way. Talked about Michael Vick already in this program, and he took some of the spotlight away from Virginia Tech superstar tailback Lee Suggs. The junior really didn't get the acclaim he deserved, but he did get 27 rushing touchdowns. Along with Suggs, there's Ken Simonson out at Oregon State. All he's done is score 51 touchdowns and rush for 1,000 yards in each of his first 3 seasons in Corvallis. And, of course, just down the road, there's Joey Harrington, known to some as Joey Heisman. Joey Harrington larger than life in this Heisman Trophy race, at least on the streets of New York. We will break down the Heisman candidates by position, look at the running backs. After all, statues posed like a running back. And, of course, this day and age of offense and slinging it around, you got to look at the quarterback. And we will do so in the Heisman Trophy preseason special. Roll ball.
Whenever we share a bowl of olive,
I'm up for change. Have you ever seen me? I'm the future. I represent how it's going to be. I'm the future. Boy, people get ready. It's the future. I don't know about y'all, but I know about me. And when you think about the future, I'm all you see. Boy, people get ready. It's the future. I represent how it's going to be. I'm the future. Boy, people get ready. Touchdown.
Familiar moves there, but do you recognize Ed Smith's pose? He was the original model for the Heisman Trophy. He was an NYU star. The pose was tweaked a little bit when some Fordham players struck some football poses, and Ed, though, the inspiration for the most coveted trophy in all of college football. Glad to have you with us on the Heisman Trophy preseason special as we continue. Last year when Chris Winkie won the Heisman, he was the 21st quarterback to bring home the award. More than twice that number of running backs, and we're including halfbacks and tailbacks and fullbacks in that list, have brought home the trophy. Of course, they're stiff-arming. It's a running back-looking trophy, and running backs have dominated this historically. And Rod, perhaps leading the class among the running backs this year, a guy who at least has an opportunity this year to do something that O.J. Simpson did.
Hey.
Not that. I'm not talking about that. It's something Marcus Allen couldn't do and Charles White couldn't do.
All right. We were talking about Ken Simonton, and he has a chance to become the first guy in the history of the Pac-10 to rush for 1,000 yards in each of his 4 seasons. Now, only a handful of folks have done it across the country. Ron Dane did it, Tony Dorsett did it, and they both won the Heisman. But this guy delivers big plays. 51 career touchdowns. And in addition to that, 25 times in his career, he's busted runs for more than 25 yards from the line of scrimmage. Why? Quick feet, great vision. He really gets into the secondary in a hurry, gets on top of folks, and he's been the single most important factor in the Oregon State turnaround. Yes, Mark, Oregon State has a Heisman Trophy candidate, a guy from the West Coast.
The West Coast. Now we're going to talk about a guy from the East Coast, and that will be Lee Suggs, the junior running back from Virginia Tech. Had an outstanding season last year with Michael Vick in the backfield. Michael Vick is gone now. He will be the focal point of the Virginia Tech offense. What I love about Lee Suggs, added 10 pounds of muscle this year, still runs the 4.740, has the power to run between the tackles, the vision to outrun and to look up those secondary personnel and go away from them with his feet. But what I really love about Lee Suggs, he's smart. He follows his offensive linemen, the blockers, and he can very well pick up the Heisman Trophy hardware this year.
That 4.2740, the debate rages on. Who was really faster? Was it Lee Suggs or was it Michael Vick on that Virginia Tech team last year? Terry, Damian Anderson, in all likelihood, would be the #1 guy among running backs anyway that we would talk about in connection with the Heisman. But there is another issue that Northwestern and Damian will have to overcome, and it's the tragic loss of Rashidi Wheeler. And how that team reacts and copes with their grief will probably go a long way toward determining not only their season, but Anderson's Heisman chance.
You're right. I mean, that situation is not going to go away because they're continuing to investigate. The key is, how do these coaches and players come together? If they can come together, and that's yet to be seen, the guy that's going to be at the forefront, Damian Anderson, he was the leading rusher last year, coming back with over 1,900 yards. He's not the biggest, not the fastest, but there's nobody that can make people miss in the open field better than him. And he didn't get that 1,900 yards against a bunch of cupcakes. 268 versus Michigan, 219 Michigan State, and 174 versus Wisconsin. And if you have to win ball games to win the Heisman, Northwestern preseason favorite to win the Big Ten.
Yeah, you know, the 66 Heisman winners, only 4 went to the award with 3 or more losses, so obviously winning games, there's a premium on that. You look at these running backs, Rod, and clearly there's some talented guys, but the last 2 running backs to win the Heisman, they set career rushing records, Ricky Williams and then Ron Dane after him, and it doesn't appear that we have that class of back in this group.
Well, it raises the question is whether a running back can or should win the Heisman this year, because you're not going to have those career yards except for Ken Simonton putting up the 4 seasons of 1,000 yards rushing. So having a great season becomes so much more important. And for a guy like Lee Suggs, that means that he's got to play big in the big games. For Simonton, they've got to win. They have to win at Oregon State. You look at Damian Anderson, and you're right. They've got to put up yards, but his team has to win. It's the single season for the running backs, Terry, not the career.
Yeah, but not just do you have good numbers, but great plays. You know, The football, the Heisman Trophy, is about a lot of 7-second video clips. A great run here, a great reverse there. These type of plays, you get enough of these on video 6, 7 times a year, and all of a sudden you're the leader for the Heisman Trophy.
Not only that, I think you have to do something spectacular, guys, in big games, when it really counts, down to the wire, when you have to have that magnificent play, that 15-yard run where you break 8 or 10 tackles and get to the goal line and win the big game. That's what really puts you to the forefront, and that's what people look for besides the big numbers.
Yeah, Mark, and I've got to give props to Rod. He called that the wow factor last year, the ability to take that short highlight, make your way onto our midnight Eastern time edition of the Scoreboard Show or Sports Center. A couple of guys who spent a lot of time both places last year, Eric Crouch, Woodrow Dantzler. Both of them can bring you that wow factor. The kid from Iowa that Crouch ran over a couple of years ago still makes highlight reels across the country. Crouch has to improve his throwing accuracy, just 48% last year. Needs to do it against the big teams. He'll have opportunities against Oklahoma, Kansas State. Dantzler needs to lead his team to a big win. Georgia Tech and Florida State would qualify there. Rod, one guy who's already passed that portion of the test is Ken Dorsey at Miami.
Well, you're not going to get the wow factor from Ken Dorsey, but you are going to get wins, and that's what it's all about for quarterbacks. Miami 11-1 last season. Number 1 possibly this season, a chance to go undefeated. How about what he did last year against Florida State? A 67-yard touchdown drive with 1.5 minutes to go to win. Why is he so good? He makes great decisions. 25 touchdown passes, only 5 picks. Strong arm, not a great runner, but if you need to run to pick up a score or a first down, he'll pick it up for you. That's the definition of a quarterback, a guy who wins, and I think, Terry, that makes Ken Dorsey the number 1 quarterback right now.
Yeah, you're right, Rod. Winning is very important. You can put up numbers as a running back or a wide receiver, but you got to lead your team to W's, to victories, if you're going to win a Heisman Trophy at quarterback. And a quarterback that's done that is Joey Harrington of the University of Oregon. He's 14-2 over the last 2 seasons. And although he's not as big as that poster, Reese, in New York City, he's 6'4", 225, and has an NFL arm. He can throw the ball for a touchdown, he can catch it for touchdowns, and he can run for touchdowns. And if winning is important, the Oregon team is preseason ranked number 1 in the Pac-10.
Hey, Joey, with that catch, looked like a regular Keenan Howery there, and he led the Ducks to victory over Texas in the Holiday Bowl. That's the highlights of the game we're seeing there, and that was a coming-out party of sorts for Chris Sims. I'm going to throw a quick number at you. The last 5 quarterbacks to win the Heisman Trophy, they all went to New York with no more than 1 loss on their resume. Chris Sims has not proven to be the guy that can do that. He's talented. He's made the cover of magazines. But I think there's still some debate, Mark, as to whether he's even the best quarterback on his team right now.
Well, he's gained a lot of experience last year playing in this Texas offense, and this may be the best offense in the country. 2 Super Souths at the wide receiver position, led by Roy Williams. But for Chris Sims, big, strong quarterback, has great feet in the pocket and can see downfield with great vision. His potential is 1 game at Texas A&M last year, 383 yards, 234 yards, a Texas record in the 3rd quarter alone. There's your potential factor. But here's the question you have to ask, and I ask it to you, Terry.
Yeah.
You have Major Applewhite on the sidelines, close to 8,000 career yards passing, and you have Chris Sims that threw for 1,064 yards last year. Who starts in this offense?
It's a coach's toughest dilemma. When do you bring in the young guy? You've got Major Applewhite and you got Chris Sims. Well, you know, performance always rates over top of potential, but Chris Sims has the potential to perform maybe better than anybody in the country. But let me say this. This Chris Sims for preseason is the worst part about this Heisman hype that I don't like. He is not a preseason candidate. He has not done it yet. He started 3 games. He threw 4 interceptions in the bowl game. He even said it himself. I'm not ready to be a candidate. Let me prove it on the field.
Well, let's keep it real. It's not just about Chris Sims. It's about hype for all the quarterbacks right now when you think about it. How about Woody Dantzler? We're talking about 2,000 yards passing and 1,000 yards rushing. When did that become the standard? We're talking about other guys. Joey Harrington has got the great big picture out there in New York. If you want to talk about quarterbacks, get rid of the hype. Let's talk about production. What about Eric Crouch? 63 career touchdowns. All he does is win at Nebraska. Reese, I think you have to start comparing production versus hype when you talk about quarterbacks.
And Eric Crouch has won, but as I mentioned off the top, it's key games. You have to win key games, especially for some of these quarterbacks.
Absolutely, and I think you're going to have to find Eric Crouch making a throw in a big game that will show people he is a complete quarterback.
Right, you know, he's healthier now, so maybe a better ability to make the throws, especially in big games against tough defenses. One guy that is already the total package from a running back standpoint, Ken Simonton, although he says if you just watch the Fiesta Bowl, you didn't experience the full Beaver package.
Everybody keeps talking about the Notre Dame game. It's like, man, that was not our shining glory. You know, that's just all you got to see.
as your...
To properly hype your Heisman candidate, you need a little creativity. Washington State sent out a leaf for Ryan Leaf, BYU ties for Ty Detmer. But Oregon has taken it to the next level. Actually, several levels, with a 100-foot, $250,000 picture of Joey Harrington that looms above the corner at 33rd and 7th. I went down to New York City to see if the Ducks had turned Joey Harrington into a household name. Do you know who Joey Harrington is?
Nope.
Have you ever heard of Joey Harrington?
Nope.
Never seen him.
Never seen it.
Joey Harrington. Isn't he the basketball player for the Knicks?
Think football.
This is killing me.
Is there any possibility that you've seen Joey Harrington today? Do you know who Joey Harrington is?
Nope.
No idea?
Nope.
Have you ever seen him?
No, I don't know who he is. I haven't seen him.
Heard it, never seen a picture.
Oh, this thing over here? I've seen that.
Obviously, the quarterback from Oregon.
Just take a look at him every day. It's enough for him already. We need some new face. I think I'm better looking than him.
He looks like a big stud.
Handsome. I love him. He's cute.
Do you know who he plays for?
I don't care. He's good. Whatever he is, gonna win.
Quite smitten though she was, I refuse all introductions. I'm not a dating service here, Terry.
Reese, thank goodness for Joey Harrington. Not one of those people you interviewed is actually voting for the Heisman Trophy.
Although I think the young lady is lobbying the Downtown Athletic Club even as we speak. You know, not to be outdone, Oregon State has a big mural of Ken Simonton up in Portland. Of course, the Ducks and the Beavers, it was a quaint little rivalry until recently when both have gotten into the national scope. And Ken Simonton, legitimate big-time Heisman candidate with a unique voice.
Name is Kenneth Paul Simonson III. Oregon State running back, number 35. Used to be number 5 because I was a handful.
Simonton needs 4 for 1,000. He's over that mark and more. Simonton blasts 3. He could go.
A lot of times he gets lost in there because he's 5'8" or whatever he is. But there's a lot of great backs that are 5'8". You don't gain 1,000 yards in 3 seasons and possibly 4 in the Pac-10 without being pretty good.
This right here is my ball player. I got this when I was about 14, 15, freshman in high school. First love was baseball.
When I first came here, he attempted to play baseball and was out for a little bit and then decided to concentrate on football.
It was Coach Erickson's first spring, so I wanted to be out there for him. And then, you know, the next spring, it just, for whatever reason, that was it with baseball. I'm the most consistent back in the Pac-10. And that they can't take. You know, people tell me, like, man, I got to wait till 10, 11 o'clock at night to see y'all play. You know, which is a shame, because, I mean, we was the baddest in the country last year, period. No question about it. But who got to see it? Everybody keeps talking about the Notre Dame game. It's like, man, that was not our shining glory. You know, that's just all you got to see.
People don't know who Kenny Simonton is. They know he's a great runner, but, you know, we have never walked in his shoes.
I've lived a lot of lives. I've been strictly an athlete. I've tried to be a hustler. You know, but now I'm just trying to be Christ-like, you know, because people didn't know what I was about off the field, you know. I knew how to get in front of the camera and, you know, nice little gift to gab, and I could, you know, pop my collar and, you know, pat little kids on the head and give them a good word. But, you know, it really wasn't that I was a good person in my heart, that I was even trying to be. And so I think that just kind of ate away at me to the point where I realized, you know, I have to get myself right.
Ken's done a tremendous job of being involved in his family. His family is here in Corvallis right now.
To my right here, I have my mother, Beverly June. This is my little sister, Rosie Sherelle. Yeah, this is it. This is my family out here, plus my little dog, Shaka. Well, you couldn't see me with no little punk poodle. You know, that's just, you know, I can get no pleasure out of that. You know, I don't like cats. I'm not a poodle person. Ooh, this would be a certified LB right here. Straight predator.
Well, obviously he wants to play in the NFL, and I really believe he can. A lot of people think because of his size he can't.
Man, I'm unstoppable, really. It's really nothing you're going to keep me out of if I really choose to be in it. And so, you know, with that approach, I'm not worried about anything. So I love to play at the next level in some form or fashion, but if it don't work, that's their loss, really.
Not big on poodles, doesn't like cats. I hear he doesn't care much about ducks either, for that matter. Ken Simonton, a guy who is trying to break through from the West Coast. The Beavers have had a Heisman Trophy winner before. Terry Baker was the first guy to win it from the West Coast. What kind of problems will Ken Simonton have being the next?
Can we talk? Can we talk?
We can talk.
We
This is what this forum is for.
East Coast bias. Yeah. Ken Simonton has to deal with that because it is absolutely there. There's no question about it. Pac-10 hasn't had a Heisman Trophy winner since, about 20 years ago. Marcus Allen. They haven't been in the national championship race or won one outright since 1974. Those factors make it tough. Not enough TV games for the Pac-10. Partly their own fault for that. But, Terry, if you like a guy who plays hard and you can deal with that bias, Ken Simonton has the passion and the personality to perhaps change that for the Pac-10.
Rod, I think we TV analysts need to look ourselves in the mirror and what we do to present these athletes. We're either part of the problem or part of the solution to this Heisman hype dilemma. We got to quit reducing the Heisman Trophy Award to a second video to the most people we think we're going to show, and we need to present everybody out there from every part of the country.
Not only that, part of the solution should be everyone from the East Coast should stay up late at night and watch Ken Simonton run the football, because if you put this young man on any other team in the Big Ten, any other team in the SEC, millions will have an opportunity to watch his talents, and he would be the front runner at this point of the year for the Heisman Trophy.
And if you break down the entire region, all of the voting regions are broken down equally. Out in the Pacific Coast, maybe only one that's specifically in the Pacific time zone, but he is certainly worth staying up and keeping an eye on.
Well, he's going to have an issue, though, with Joey Harrington because there are two candidates out there in Oregon, and that could split some of the vote for those players.
And we got to remember, this isn't about everybody in America. There are a little bit over 900 people that are given the opportunity to vote. They have the responsibility and the obligation to look at everybody.
And we will accept that responsibility to try to put everybody in a fair light. We'll have an opportunity to look at some of the guys who, at least right now, might be long shots when our Heisman Trophy preseason special rolls on. Repeat, the architect of a 2-year bus and Mike Gottfried for the Roundtable Special, Friday, August 24th, 1 a.m. Eastern Time. You know, likely would have already mentioned Antoine Randall, 3,000 yards of offense, but he's going to play wide receiver this year, and Mark, the position of a player could have an impact on another dominant guy.
And that's in the trenches, and that's where games are really won and lost. And the trench monster for Tennessee, John Henderson, 6'7", 290, won the Outland Trophy last year, has all the moves. You get a swim move here, and he loves to pile drive quarterbacks right into the turf. And the key is, guys, the best athlete and the best football player in the country should win the Heisman Trophy.
Kissing up to the defensive lineman again. Let's get back to the quarterbacks, and we're talking about Woodshed Dantzler. Yeah, Woody Dantzler is a guy out of Clemson. He is the one guy who can give you some Michael Vick-type highlights this season. He can break tackles, make a spectacular run. If he does that and gets 2,000 yards passing, 1,000 rushing, and beats Florida State, Terry, he could be a dark horse.
But, fellas, if talent comes into consideration when picking the Heisman Trophy, keep your eye on Jason Thomas, the lefty quarterback from UNLV. Coach Robson, who has been at Southern Cal and had some Heismans, Los Angeles Rams had some great players, calls him one of the most gifted quarterbacks he's ever coached.
A couple of showcase opportunities for him early in the season, too. They have Arkansas and they have Northwestern. And by the way, Rod, what Mark was doing, he's staying true to that Outland fraternity right there, okay. You know, with Don Henderson. That's what was going on there. We're glad that you chose to join us to look ahead to the Heisman Trophy. We're ready for the season to start. For Mark May, for Terry Bowden and Rod Gilmore, I'm Reese Davis. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. We'll see you throughout the season. We'll watch all the games and all the candidates, even West Coast guys.